Welcome to Tax D Wolf Academy. I'm your host, Joseph Griffin, the Tax D Wolf. And today we have one of my favorite people in the world on the show today. We have Tax Deed Jade, y'all, Jessica DiGiacomo. We had to fly her all the way from Florida. We had to get her a hotel. We had to make sure that like her Ubers were paid for and everything. But look, we made it happen and she is here. So Jess, thank you for showing up. How you doing today?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Oh my
Excited to be back in New York.
she's loving it, y'all. She loves the city. So we're just gonna dive right into this thing. For anybody who does not know who you are, can you let the people know like some of the awesome things you're doing with the short-term rentals, with the tax deeds, with Tax Deed Wolf Academy? What do you got going on? Who are you?
So my name is Jessica DiGiacomo. A lot of people know me by Jade. I am a real estate investor. I do everything and anything that makes sense for me as the investor. One of my favorite strategies right now and that I've really been focusing on is the short-term rentals. So Airbnb, VRBO, but I'm also a landlord. Which is really exciting. That happened for me last year. That was a big accomplishment for me. It's one of the goals that I really wanted to hit. And I'm actually part owner of Tax Deed Wolf Academy.
Hey, clap your hands
Yeah.
for that, yo.
Yeah.
So you're now doing Airbnb. You're a landlord. You got some awesome strategies, and we're gonna dive into that in a sec. But give us a little bit of like, how did you come up? When did you know real estate was gonna be your way out, and why did you even get into this in the first place?
I think I've always known that real estate was, the right move for me. Especially with the way that the market has been. And I think ultimately, so kind of how I got into and really started diving deep into it was really just social media, just seeing other people and, what it's done for them and how quickly people have been able to scale. And ultimately, you inspired me. So, just being friends with you and us being in like the same group of friends and seeing that you retired, I was like, hold the hell up. What is this guy doing? I need to get connected with him. And so the rest has been history.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you hang around four broke people, you're gonna be the fifth, right? The best way to change your life right now, if you want to be a millionaire, hey, hang around millionaires. So I retired at 29 after investing in tax deeds, right, and doing my thing in real estate. You then retired,
At
right,
28,
at
yeah.
28, and who else? You retired your mom too?
Yeah, I retired my mom last year. I guess technically she still works, right? But she works for me.
Oh, oh, so and like you're hiring the family now.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. So let's
Yeah.
dive into some of this Airbnb stuff. So let the people know what is an Airbnb, right? What strategies are you doing? Arbitrage? Are you buying homes? What is Airbnb first of all? Why Airbnb?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways that you can get into the short-term rental game. Airbnb and VRBO, bookings.com, Furnish Finders are just platforms where you can find your guests and, do this. Um,
Sorry. So why'd you get started with Airbnb?
I really liked the arbitrage strategy. I
Hmm.
love the idea of being able to have a home and not own it, like to be able to make money
Mm,
with the property and not even have to own it outright. I don't got to worry about, paying taxes or anything like that, property taxes, I should
wow.
say. Yeah, so essentially with Airbnb arbitrage or short-term rental arbitrage, all you're doing is you're taking something from one market and you're putting it into another market. So in this case, with arbitrage, you're looking for maybe landlords or just these bigger corporations where they're leasing out these properties, and so rather than getting like a traditional lease, what I'm actually acquiring is what's called a corporate lease, and that allows me to literally acquire these properties and put it under my business. So my business is doing all the work.
I like that. So arbitrage, taking something from one market and selling it in another. She's taking the long-term rental market and she's getting these apartment complexes and then she's selling them in the short-term rental market. All right. Arbitrage is not a term that's unique to just real estate or Airbnb, right? Arbitrage is just a term in general, and we've been doing it for a long time. There's a lot of people who've been actually doing arbitrage in other areas. So now is it getting hot in here, or is it like she walked in the building and now suddenly it's all hot in here? So you got into the Airbnb. Tell us about you started, right? You got started, you got your first units where?
So the first units that we acquired were in downtown Orlando.
Okay, how'd you get
Yeah.
those?
Well, it's actually crazy. So somebody slid in your DMs, actually. She's a property manager. She's just curious about what we do. She actually lives in the same city as us, which is even crazier. But she wanted to meet up for lunch. So, we went to downtown, we met her for lunch, and the rest is history. She was like, hey, you guys want to come over and check out the properties that I manage? And what's even crazier is I swear we met her on like a Thursday. And that Monday, I was like, you know what, Joseph? I think I want to get into the short term rental game. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It wasn't something that we had done yet. But it was something that I was excited about. So being able to connect with somebody that knew, like being with a property manager, someone that knows what they're doing, makes the process so much easier. I didn't know about corporate leases or how we could make this work, and where it made sense, where it wouldn't affect me on the personal side. But yeah, so that's how it happened. I actually applied for two. We actually did one ourselves, and it did really, really well. And then I was like, oh man, I got to get more.
So tell the people what's really, really well, because this is why I need you to pay attention. All right, pay attention right now. Get out your notebooks too. So what is really, really well?
I mean, for me, if I'm making at least, I mean, honestly, as long as you're not in the negative, right, you're doing good. But for me, for us, with our first unit, we were making, I think just that first month, we made probably like $2,000, $3,000 profit
In one unit.
in one unit. So I was like, dang, if I could get more than one unit, we know this spot works. We already have the connection. So why not really hone in on that and take full advantage? By the end, we ended up with like 5 units, I think.
So how much did you had 2 units,
2 units on my own.
in 6 months they made how much?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I made Airbnb Superhost in less than 30 days. I had both of my units up and running in 6 days. I give myself 7 days. I'm talking, it was listed, everything, professional photos, the whole shebang. And then literally from June of last year to December, those 2 units generated $45,000.
Ooh, that's more than what the average American makes.
And I made that in my sleep.
Wow, that's big. Okay, okay, okay. So the people here, they're looking for a short-term rental. They're looking for something that they can use as an Airbnb. Now, I want to get into how they can find some, but before we even do that, how much did it cost? Like, what was the startup on each unit? These were studios in Orlando. How much money did you put in to each one, would you say?
That's a good question. I would say I put no more than $5,000.
Wow. So
Yeah,
if I had a credit card with $8,000 limit, I could literally go start an Airbnb right now
absolutely.
and cash flow and make 1,500 to 2,000 profit.
Easy.
That's crazy, y'all. I pay attention, pay attention. So community relationship building was the way we went and scaled to 7 units that quickly.
Yeah.
Now, besides building relationships with property managers, what are some other things that people can do to get their first unit?
Definitely, I would say don't sleep on social media. There's so many opportunities out there. It's nuts. I actually just acquired a quadplex in Memphis, Tennessee, and that was literally just from a Facebook group. Somebody, it was a turnkey, so it was already fully furnished. It was already live on Airbnb, so I was able to get a good general idea of, what the people liked about it, maybe what they didn't, how well it was doing. And then, of course, you still want to make sure you do your due diligence. So I didn't just go off of, the Facebook posts. And I used, there's apps out there like AirDNA. So I really like AirDNA. At that point, I had never been to Memphis, Tennessee. I don't even think I'd been to Tennessee. So it was a little scary. Anything new and foreign can be scary. But as long as you do your due diligence, then you can go in there at least feeling a little bit more confident about your investment.
Okay.
So,
Awesome, awesome. So you said AirDNA, right? AirDNA.co, right?
right.
So they found whether a property manager, real estate agent, they either purchased this home or they can arbitrage. So there's multiple avenues on getting your first unit. Once you get that first unit, what's next? How do you know, we're getting into masterclass stuff here, y'all. So you get a lead, right? A fish bites your bait, right? They take your bait, they bite, they're stuck on a hook. So now you need to underwrite things and make sure this stuff makes sense, right? How
Right.
do you know if it makes sense?
There's a few ways that you can go about making sure that something's going to make sense for you without breaking the bank. So I think that's really important. I think a lot of people think that you have to invest a lot just to know if you're going to have, be successful. But you can literally, like for me, with those particular units that I had in Memphis, I went directly on the Airbnb website. I typed in Memphis, Tennessee, just to see what my competition was looking like, what the nightly rates are. Of course, you can use other, platforms like AirDNA, but there's other ways to get around it.
Okay.
I think another thing too, when it comes to finding the right property for you, is also ensuring that you know who your audience is. That's really, really important. Are you looking to host couples? Are you looking more to host families? It has to make sense. So you want to make sure that you set up that unit to cater to whoever your audience is. I say that because, with us having studios, I had two, and they were the exact same layout. However, I set them up in a way where one catered more to couples, whereas my other one was more for families. So you can make things happen. I literally it was a studio, and then I had a pull-out couch. So, whereas the other unit I could only hold, or I'm sorry, provide
Two
a space. Yeah,
for
yeah,
two
yeah. For two
people.
people, I could do it for four, which is a
Okay.
game changer because that one was getting booked up a lot more,
Mhm.
especially location too.
Okay.
So,
Awesome. Awesome. So now you already know now how you can find Airbnb. You already know some ways that you can do the research, right? If the rent is $1,200 a month, you can go throw that into that area, that zip code, airdna.co
yep,
or data.rabu, right? So you put that in, and if the average is saying, hey, this unit can make 2,500 a month, okay, after expenses, I'm only paying 1,500 a month. This will net me maybe $1,000 a month, right? On average. Now, a cool thing, what most people won't tell you is that's average, but we're not average, right? We're above average. So if average says 2,500 a month, I'm now gonna go deeper into those stats and check the other units and see, which units are doing better than 1,500 a month, right? Have we
definitely.
ran that play
Oh,
before?
heck yeah, I do that all the time. You want to see what your competition's looking like. What are things that they're offering that maybe I want to, implement or add. That's huge, especially if you have a property that maybe doesn't have like a ton of amenities. You want to stand out. So that's really important. Yes, every single time.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it. So in business, y'all, you don't want to be better. You want to be different, right?
absolutely.
A business model being better is not a good business model. Like, oh, our pen is better, right? We're charging $20 more. You
Right.
want to be different, right? This pen is red. Red is the color you want to use, or this pen is blue. This is the color you sign official documents with this versus the black pen, right? These are things that are going to get you sales and more bookings. So I want people to understand that adversity is a thing that we as real estate investors deal with. So you get a lot of people on social media, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing bad about the term guru.
Hmm.
What's bad is the term a guru that's capping. Okay, a
Yes.
guru. When they do this and they say guru,
Hmm.
that's bad. That means that person's not doing what they say that they're doing.
Yeah.
So what we want to know is we want to know what are some of the like obstacles that you've had to face starting Airbnb, being an Airbnb host, because anybody who's really out here doing it will have some adversity, right? No
Yeah.
real estate investor has not gone through any adversity. If they say that, then they're probably not really a real estate investor. Let's just be honest. So, what are some obstacles that you've gone through being an Airbnb host?
Um, to be very transparent, I've gone through a lot of different things. I've learned a lot in just this past year alone. And I guess it depended on like so with all of the short-term rentals I've had, I've always implemented the arbitrage strategy. I'm finding now because I've ventured outside of my immediate area. So since I've kind of invested outside of Florida, having a team is super, super, super. important. And having a backup team to that team. It might sound a little excessive, but you never know. Your cleaner might go MIA one day and now you're, stressed trying to get that thing ready for the next person. Or even your handyman. I think I told you not too long ago, I literally had to go on a thumbtack. And I had to hire a handyman that could be there like same day because when you, especially for me, because I am a super host, there's a certain expectation I feel that your guests have when they stay with you. You can literally, when you go on this platform, filter out to only, see listings that are of super hosts. And so, my biggest and my main thing is always to make sure that my guest is good. Like my guest is good to go. Oh man, I could sit here all day going over all the crazy things that have ever happened, but I think what's really and truly important is just having a solid team, people that you can depend on. If you're not there, with the units that I had in Orlando, it was just a matter of me taking a ride. You knew it. Like one time my guests needed batteries, okay? The remote wasn't working. I drove all the way to Orlando to make sure that they have freaking batteries. But I can't do that, with these properties that are in Memphis. I mean, yes, I could book a flight, but I mean, am I going to get there soon enough? So I've definitely, I think that's like been my biggest lesson is having a team, but also setting your properties up on automation. That's been the game changer for me because at first I was putting in a lot of time, trading. And the whole point of this was to not trade more time for money, right? But I found myself where I was constantly having to like redo things that maybe should have been done the first time or, going out of my way to send certain instructions when I realized, well, why am I doing all of that when I could just have it all set up where it's automatically happening? I could really make money in my sleep. So
So the key to success is creating a system and
yeah,
then automating that system.
absolutely.
The key to success, there you have it. Yo, I could end the podcast right now. That's all you really need to know. Now, I want to take this thing a little bit further back. I want to take this a little bit further back. Where were you originally from?
Oh, that's a good question. So I was actually born in Portland, Oregon. I
Okay.
love the West Coast. I spent a little bit of time. My mom's from Chicago, Illinois, so we spent, quite some time there. But I've spent most of my life in Florida.
Okay. Now, with adversity doesn't always just come in the real estate investments, right? Does adversity
Absolutely.
come in life? So now I want to hear, was there anything that you went through as just coming up and developing into the woman that you are today, some obstacles that existed and how you overcame those? For anybody listening that's going through something right now that thinks that, oh, I can't do what she's doing. I can't do Airbnbs. So I just want to, a transparent moment, tell the people like, hey, look, life sucked for me too.
Oh,
Just
yeah. Yeah, I've definitely gone, listen, I've gone through a lot of different trials and tribulations. I am 29 years old and I am a single mom of two beautiful little beans. And that alone is very stressful. You know what I mean? Like anybody that's a parent knows that it's a lot, finding that work life, balance, and then you got to throw in the mommy life in there too. Um, Man, to be honest, I just got to a point in my life where I didn't feel good with myself. Like, I felt like my spirit and my soul was just not where it needed to be. And the only like the biggest thing in my life I felt that was taking up a lot of my time was my job. I was working 50 hours plus. I was a supervisor, and it was like the beginning of COVID, so things were stressful. I was homeschooling my oldest, and then my youngest wasn't even in school yet. So, doing that by yourself, I was going freaking nuts. And it was like the same repetitive thing, wake up, work, make sure the kids are good, go to sleep, turn around and do it again. And I just got to a point where I was just fed up. And to be honest, I was so fed up that I didn't even tell anybody that I was going to quit my job. Seriously, like I didn't tell anybody. I had an interview, with you. I didn't tell anybody because I knew that if I told anybody, I'm really not feeling it, I knew they were going to try and convince me to stay. You know? I just knew that they didn't have the mindset that I was trying so hard to get to. And, it was time for me to make a difference or make a change. And it's crazy because when I think back about when we had our first interview at freaking Boston Coffee House, and just even where my mindset was. Like, I remember telling you, listen, I might get evicted from my house. I might even have to move back in with my parents, but I'm just not happy. And my kids deserve to have the best version of me. And I can't do that with this job. And there was no academy, you know, we took a leap of faith in each other. And, um, you know, just being surrounded by like minded people really changed everything for me.
So you took a step back. That's big. You took a step
Yeah.
back in order to move forward.
I took a step
That's
back.
crazy.
Yeah, and I also made sure that I didn't let like the noise around me affect or influence the decision that I needed to make for myself, you know? And then fast forward now,
And you cut a lot of people off too,
I
right? To
had
get there.
to, yeah.
Okay.
Listen,
Awesome.
and that wasn't just friends, that was family too.
You gotta make those sacrifices. So as we wrap up, okay, as we wrap up, you got your Airbnbs. You're also a landlord. So you took a house, right? Awesome story. You took a house that was a single family home and converted it into a duplex, turned the garage into an ADU,
Yeah.
and then leased it by the room. So how many leases you have in that thing?
I have 4 leases underneath one roof.
Mm,
Yeah, it's,
mm.
yeah.
That's some nice income. So, yo, the reason I had to get Jade here on the show is because I watched her net worth go from, probably, I don't know if it was zero.
Almost being evicted.
I watched her go from almost being evicted to net worth over 500K in like a year,
Yeah.
right? 500K net worth in a year. And that's a true example of taking action and making things happen. And it's also another example of what you tune into, you turn into, because she was with me every single day, every meeting, every partnership I had, she had. So our banking relationships, all that, just being with me every single day. So proximity is power. Understand that proximity is power. So before we head out, I want to know, how can the people get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me on Instagram. My handle is at taxdjade. And there's also a link in my bio if you want to get on a call and you want to find out more information about what we do. There's literally a little link at the top, beacons. Just click on it. You can book a call with our team. I'd love to hear, where you are and where you're trying to be and how, we can help you get there. Like I said, there's not one right way to skin a cat, and there's a lot of different strategies that we've learned over time that really, really work, and that are extremely affordable, But knowledge is power. So surrounding yourself by like-minded people and just getting the information has made all of the difference for me. And I do have to say, if I can do it, you can do it. Seriously.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So thanks for being here. Before we head out, is there any last minute words that you want to tell anybody? Like I said, they're thinking like, oh, I can't do what she does. Any last minute motivation that you want to give to the people?
I would say it starts with your mindset, So if you don't believe in yourself, then you cannot expect other people around you to believe in you. Make your moves in silence. You do not need to tell people what you're up to. People are watching, trust me. And once you start doing really, really well for yourself, everybody's going to want to be your friend. Everybody's going to want to take you out to dinner. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that you told me from the get. And I was like, oh, we'll see. And now look.
Yeah. One of my mentors said the quickest way to kill a big dream is to introduce it to a small mind. Let's let that sink for a little bit. Let's let that breathe for a sec. So you have to be careful who you're surrounded with. That's everything in this world. You hang out, if you could you imagine hanging out with people like us, just hung out with us every single day, you would definitely be a millionaire. All right, you're gonna be a millionaire. 2, 3 years, you're gonna be a millionaire, right? So got to think about that. Cut off all that dead weight and let's make things happen. So thank you so much for being on the show, Jade. So go follow her on Instagram at TaxDJade. You can get in touch with her, right? She is teaching people the same things that we're doing, right? We are literally teaching people the same things, these tax techniques, the tax liens, the redemption deeds. Airbnb, right? Multifamily apartment complex. We got wholesale. Y'all saw the last interview with Kareem. So we got a lot of heavy hitters in there, and we're gonna show you exactly what you need to do to get from point A to point B, where you want to be ultimately, right? But you have to make a decision because now is the time. We don't have tomorrow's not promised, And yesterday's the past. So what are you really waiting for? You only have today to make it happen. So take action, and we're gonna see you at the top because it's not lonely up there. It's actually full of like-minded individuals that collaborate with each other on a daily. So we're gonna see you there.